Hello there. Today on Fox 62, we have a special interview with Cuba's dictator, Fidel Castro. In this interview, I ask him a series of questions about the Cuban Missile Crisis and how the missiles were only 90 miles away from our shores in Florida. So, let's cut to the interview that I host. Hello, I'm Matt Wickwire, reporting for Fox 62 News. Today, we have a very special interview with Mr. Fidel Castro himself. Say hi to everyone, Mr. Castro.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Good.
That's good. So, can you tell me about the whole incident that happened down in Cuba?
Well, it started with the Soviet leader, Mr. Khrushchev, and he helped me convert Cuba into communism, allowing my country to have a sense of equilibrium. Then we made a deal, and I allowed him to bring his ICBM missiles and other nuclear materials into my country. We were ready to strike the U.S. wherever we pleased.
Can you explain what happened in the Bay of Pigs invasion?
Yes. Kennedy, he tried to bomb our air bases and invade with over 1,400 troops. He painted their planes to look like our Cuban Air Force planes. Those idiots missed our air bases with their bombs. After this, Kennedy decided to not send in his second wave. But our country fought strong that day, and we pushed the invasion away from our shores, and we won the fight.
Interesting. So, Mr. Castro, can you give us a little explanation why you and the USSR decided not to bomb the U.S.? Because I know the people in America are really wondering why you decided to withhold your missiles.
Well, first, the U.S. blockaded us in, didn't allow the Russians to get into my country. Then, on the 27th of October, we shot down an American reconnaissance plane that almost started a nuclear disaster between the countries. But on the 26th, Khrushchev sent a message to Kennedy that he would withdraw his missiles from Cuba as long as the U.S. didn't invade Cuba. On the 28th, Kennedy accepted his terms, and the missile crisis came to an end.
So, Mr. Castro, if you were put in Khrushchev's shoes, and you were the dictator of the USSR, would you have bombed the U.S.?
If I were to be the dictator of the USSR, I would have already done it.
All right, so that's a good note to end it on. I just want to thank everyone tuning into this interview, and I want to thank Mr. Castro for being in our interview.
It was my pleasure.
So, today we have Jack here, who just watched my interview with Mr. Castro himself. So, Jack, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions, because not a lot of people know what's going down there, or what was going on down there in Cuba. So, how do you feel that the missiles, the nuclear missiles, were only 90 miles away from our Florida shores?
It's pretty crazy, Those are some dangerous missiles they got there, so I don't know what to say. I mean, it's pretty dangerous out here.
I know. Do you have any family that lives in like the middle of the United States?
I've got a couple family members, not a lot. Some.
Well, where specifically?
Like dead in the center.
Dead in the center?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know that the missiles that are only 90 miles away from our shores could reach dead in the center?
Ooh,
yeah. All right. Next question. So, did you like Mr. Castro? Did you think he was a very sensible guy?
I mean, he did seem like a mean guy. He seemed pretty formal, and he seemed like a nice gentleman. I mean, he seemed very serious. He took the interview very seriously.
Yes, he did. Just one more question for you, Jack. If you were put in Khrushchev's shoes, or Castro's shoes, would you have launched the missiles on a country that hated you and tried to invade you and killed a lot of your troops?
I'm very cool about everyone's opinion.
Okay, and that's the end of the interview with Jack.
Now, onto the effects that this had on the relations between Cuba and the U.S. But were never actually quote-unquote allies, but they were also never enemies until the Cuban Missile Crisis, because after this, it definitely weakened the relationship between the U.S. and Cuba to the extent that, as of today, you cannot travel to Cuba without a specific reason because the borders are ultimately closed, and also you cannot trade with Cuba. There's a trade ban. Thank you for tuning into Fox 62 News to hear the updates about the Cuban Missile Crisis. Next week we'll be interviewing JFK. Hopefully he doesn't get assassinated or something. We'll see you guys later.
The interview with Jack, he really doesn't really know what's going on, he's one of those,
Subscribe.
Okay, I got a question, seriously, I got to...
Kevin, just end the interview, just say thank you.
I got this. One more question, always. So, I got one more question for you. If you were in Castro's shoes...
Why is he laughing?
I have it!
And it almost started a nuclear disaster between the countries.
God, Peter! I had such a good intro to that question, too.
Stop it.
Hello there. Today on Fox 62, We're going to be talking about the Cuban... Hello there. Today on Fox 62, we have a special interview with Fidel... Hello there. Today on Fox 62, we have a special interview with Fidel. Him and the missiles were only 90 miles away from our coast. Now, let's cut to our interview with him. God dang it! Fidel Castro. We're going to be talking about the... Stop laughing. Good night, everyone.